Welcome back to another Grit on the Rocks podcast, Friday Fumas edition. We're going to be talking about a cigar. I mean, not that I discovered it, but I discovered it for me. It has no band or anything like that, but it has such a great taste. It does. For today's quote, we'll be discussing the powerful words on Standing Your Ground from Malcolm X. And we will also be sharing 10 reasons why people smoke cigars. That and so much more. Yes, on Grit on the Rocks, Friday Fumas edition.
This podcast is a Buenos Dias Media production.
This is the Grit on the Rocks podcast, where raw conversations meet smooth sips. Pull up a chair, pour your favorite drink, puff on your favorite cigar, and join us as we dive into the convos that matter. No scripts, no barriers, just unfiltered truth served straight up. Cheers to the real ones out there. Salud.
Today is just me by my lonesome. But we have to come through, I just had to come through for my brothers and sisters of the Leaf and all you who form part of the audience, the beautiful audience of Grit on the Rocks podcast. Thank you for showing up every time we drop a new episode on Tuesdays and Fridays. Oh, yeah. So, just got getting through a little cold. It seemed like it got everybody around me. I've been taking zinc. Apparently it works. I got a little down and I felt like my system was fighting something, but we're here. So, yes, thank you for all of you who look forward to these types of conversations. So I ask, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube or Rumble, please do so. Leave us a comment on the topics that we talk about. Also, subscribe to the podcast or follow it or whatever it allows you to do. We are on Apple Podcasts. We're also on Spotify. And I'm assuming soon we'll be on iHeartRadio. Also, invitation to interact with us on our socials. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok as Grit on the Rocks. And if you've never done so, go to gritontheRocks.com. And you can participate on the show, right, by participating in one of the segments. The instructions are there. You can scroll down to the bottom. It shows you the different segments like Whiskey Bar Wisdom. We have Barstool Banter. We have Hero of the Day. We have Kryptonite Sessions. And we'll be adding more as we keep going on with the show. So stay tuned. GritOnTheRocks.com. Scroll down to the bottom to the Contact Us page or the Contact Us section. And send us your message, your story, your email. If you just want to, say what's up to us, whatever it is. And who knows, you might be on the show. So before we start, as usual,
the views and opinions expressed by the host, guest, and/or participants of this show do not necessarily reflect the opinions of Buenos Dias Media LLC, its associates, partners, and show sponsors. The content is intended for entertainment purposes and should not be construed as professional advice. Listener discretion is advised.
All right, so let's dive into this week's cigar, right? So, okay. This week's Friday Fumas edition of Grit on the Rocks, we got something special, right? It's a little scruffy, right? I have it right here. Let's see if I can do this like everybody usually does. I just see it. Oh, there it goes. So it's a little scruffy around the edges. It has no band. Meet the Maker's Choice Vanilla. The cigar equivalent of that buddy who shows up in the cookout in a stained t-shirt, but somehow always brings the best steak. This little guy's may look like they've been rolling around in a back alley, but trust me, they're the ugly ducklings of the cigar world that turn into flavor-packed swans. As I said before, I am not a professional. I am not a cigar connoisseur. I'm not there yet. I'm more of a aficionado, if you want to say, an enthusiast. I do enjoy collecting them. I do enjoy smoking them. I don't smoke that frequently like many might. So I'm not at that part yet where I can be like, oh, so I taste this. And I've said this before, but I can say if I like a cigar, if it's good or if it's not that great, if it's smooth or if it's strong, that's where I'm at. So this is not a cigar review. I just included as part of the Friday Fumas edition. We include what cigar I smoked this week and what I thought about it. So here's a scoop. It's called the Maker's Choice cigars that are Dominican handmades that get their rugged look because they're rolled freehand without any molds. Translation, they're not going to win a beauty pageant, but that's not why you light up a cigar, right? These bad boys are what the cigar rollers themselves smoke all day, which kind of makes you feel like you're getting in on an industry secret, like you're puffing on the insider stash. That's why I got them. I found it interesting because I read and I was like, oh, so this is what rollers smoke all day? Okay, interesting. When I received my package, they were kind of moist. I'm very humidified, so I let them like dry out a little bit. But the taste, like off the bat, you can taste the vanilla. That I can tell you. Off the bat, it has like a vanilla flavor to it. I mean, Maker's Choice, vanilla. I don't think they are associated in any way with Maker's Choice, the whiskey bourbon brand, but that's what they're called. It's called the Maker's Choice. So now about the vanilla flavor. It is smooth, subtle, and sweet change of pace. It's like that extra drizzle of syrup on your Sunday pancakes. It's Petite. It's a Petite Corona. It's 5 inches by 36 ring gauge, but don't let the size fool you. This thing hits the spot. It's perfect when you don't have a lot of time, but you still want to kick back and relax. To be honest, I enjoy the Ashton, the blue box, Ashton Petite Corona, half Coronas, and they smoke way faster than this. This, I want to say you can smoke 45 minutes to an hour with these. Because I did about, I want to say half an hour. I mean, granted, I'm not, puffing and puffing and puffing, but I did about half an hour and I was still, I think, halfway through. So if you're into fancy cigars with gold labels and shiny bands, this might not be your style. But if you're down for a rough and tumble smoke that gets the job done with some surprisingly smooth vanilla goodness, Maker's Choice Vanilla is your guy. Think of it of the working man's cigar, or better yet, the I don't care what it looks like as long as it tastes good cigar. Bottom line, it's like that old truck that looks like it's falling apart, but always gets you where you need to go. So light it up. Don't judge a cigar by its cover and enjoy the ride. Cheers to finding gems in unlikely places. So again, I gotta say, first of all, they're not sponsors of the show. This is, again, Friday Fumas edition. It's what I smoked this week. I did enjoy it. I did like a very smooth. I don't enjoy a cigar that has like that strong pepper taste. This does not have that. Very smooth, but not mild enough to be like, oh, you feel like you're smoking nothing. I found it to be very well balanced. I think that's the way to describe it. Good cigar. Try it out. If you have tried it out, let me know what you think. Drop a comment. If you're watching us on YouTube or Rumble, drop your comments. Or you can just shoot us a DM or drop a line on gritontheRocks.com, contact us section, and tell me what you thought of the cigar. I truly enjoyed it, but not everybody likes the same thing, right? Okay. All right, so let's get into this week's quote. We got something good for you. All right, let's get into it. I like to keep things real here on Grit on the Rocks, and today's quote is a heavyweight. We're talking about the most iconic lines, one of the most iconic lines from Malcolm X, a man who stands for Oh, Rosa already gave me the quote. And the quote reads, quote, "A man who stands for nothing will fall for anything." I mean, it doesn't get much more straightforward than that, does it? The man himself wasn't known for sugarcoating things, and neither am I, so let's break it down. What is the meaning of this quote? This quote is all about having a backbone, something that feels like it's getting rarer these days. That is the truth, which is why we have spaces like Grit on the Rocks podcast where we can have like real conversations. And I always emphasize on the feeling or atmosphere, on the mindset of maybe being at a cigar lounge or a whiskey bar with your buddies, and you have these real conversations. That's what Grit on the Rocks is, right? And I speak to men, and I know that women also listen. And like I've said, I invite women to listen and maybe learn a thing or two about men. Maybe comment, drop us a line, drop us messages, send us, through gritontherocks.com. You can send us your messages too, and we'll read because we can learn from you too. So what Malcolm X was saying here is that if you don't have principles, if you don't have something you truly believe in, you're going to be tossed around by life like a leaf in the wind. Someone tells you what to think, and you believe it. That is something that we have seen a lot nowadays, especially with media. Media tells you what to believe. Media tells you what opinions to have unless you are a free thinker. Someone offers you a quick fix of an easy way out. You'll take it. Sound familiar to any of you? And when I say media, I also mean social media. It's like being that guy at the grocery store who doesn't have a list. You walk in thinking, I'll just grab in a couple of things. Next thing you know, you're walking out with 3 bags of chips, a frozen pizza, and no idea how to explain to your wife why you forgot the milk that she asked for. You didn't have a plan, so you ended up with whatever life threw at you. And let's be clear, there's a reason Malcolm X is quoting this to men. Because we, as men, are expected to be the rock, the foundation of our household. If you stand for nothing, people will walk all over you. Life will walk all over you. So why does this matter today? Now more than ever, standing for something is crucial. We live in an age where you're bombarded with opinions, ads, social media influencers, celebrities, experts. I mean, how many times have you had someone try to tell you how to live your life today? Probably at least about a dozen times before lunch. If you don't have any principles, if you don't know what you value, you'll be like a sponge, just soaking up whatever nonsense is thrown your way. And the problem with being a sponge is that you absorb a lot of garbage, man. You start believing things that don't align with who you are, who you really are, because you never took the time to figure out what you stand for. So here's a personal story. I remember a few years ago, I had a buddy, let's call him Rick, great guy, but Rick had no opinions of his own. We'd be out with a group, and depending on who he was talking to, his views would shift like quicksand. One day, he's all about getting fit and healthy. The next day, or the next week, he's drinking beer and eating burgers like it's the last meal of his life. He just didn't have his own direction. And eventually, it caught up to him. He got in a relationship with a girl who called all the shots. He lost sight of who he was. And man, he was miserable. All because he never decided to stand for something. And Rick, well, I'll just say he learned the hard way. He's doing better now, but it took him a while to get there. The importance of standing for something, right? Because we all have to stand for something. Look, if you don't stand for anything, you're going to fall for every gimmick, every fad, every opinion that sounds good in the moment. It's like going to a cigar lounge and asking, hey, what's good? without knowing what you like. You end up smoking something that doesn't fit your vibe and you hate it. But if you know what you stand for, whether it's smooth, mild smoke, or something with a heavy punch, you're going to get what you want out of life. So here's my question for you. What do you stand for? What are the non-negotiables in your life? It doesn't have to be something dramatic like saving the world. It could be as simple as standing for honesty, loyalty, or taking care of people in your life. Because let me tell you, the world is going to test you. Yeah, the world is going to test you. Whether it's at work, in your relationships, or even when you're by yourself. If you don't know what you stand for, you fall into whatever is convenient at the time. And that, my friends, is a dangerous way to live. So take a final minute to the podcast. Think about what core values are. Write them down if you have to. Be that man who stands tall in his beliefs, even if it's not the popular thing to do. Because in the end, a man who stands for something will always have solid ground to walk on. Yeah. And I think that's part of what made me start this podcast, is because I have a belief. And even though it's not a popular belief sometimes, it's a belief. I have morals. I have principles. I believe in things. I believe when it comes to masculinity, I believe that masculinity has changed. Some things are for good and some things aren't so good. We need masculinity. We need manly men in the world, as we need female women and, feminine women. We need them. It's a perfect balance, men and women. All right, so that was a quote for today. I hope you think about it, meditate in it, and apply it to your life. All right, so let's take a quick break here. Quickly. And we will come back with the 10 reasons why people smoke cigars. You are listening to Grit on the Rocks podcast, a Buenos Dias media production.
Looking to connect with like-minded men who share your drive for success and passion for the finer things in life? Welcome to the Apex Gentlemen's Guild, a private members club for men who value ambition, camaraderie, giving back, and personal growth. For a limited time while we're fully remote, you can join the guild for free. Gain access to tons of motivational content, exclusive events, insightful discussions, and a network of high-performance individuals. Don't miss this chance to elevate your social circle. Request to join today at facebook.com/groups/Apex Gentlemen's Guild, or give us a like at facebook.com/Apex Gentlemen's Guild. The Apex Gentlemen's Guild, excellence forged in unity.
So as part of this Friday Fumas edition of Grit on the Rocks podcast, we dive into one of the questions we get asked a lot. Why do people smoke cigars? So first, I want to start off with, I am not enticing anyone to smoke cigars. It's not what I'm saying at all. Simply for those of us who do enjoy our occasional, some people do it every day, some people do it multiple times a day. I am one who only does it occasionally, once a week, on weekends, when I'm on vacation. It is just a ritual for me to relax. I like collecting them. I like the culture around it. I like having conversations about it. I like meeting new people. I like when I go to, cigar lounges and just the conversations that happen. I love it all. So again, we are not enticing anyone to go. If you don't smoke cigars, then you don't smoke cigars. That's fine. You can still enjoy the podcast. You don't have to drink whiskey. You don't have to smoke cigars. You know what I mean? So I just want to get that out there. But if you're sitting there puffing on a Maker's Choice, something like a Maker's Choice Vanilla Petite Corona, like we did this week, let's light up and have some fun with the 10 reasons why people smoke cigars. And of course, we're throwing in a bit of humor, you know how we do. So number 1 is relaxation. Cigars are like yoga for men. Just replace the downward dog with an upward puff. There's nothing quite like unwinding with a cigar after a long day. All right? That's the main thing for me. After a long week, not a day, a week. After a week, I love enjoying on a Friday, we do these episodes. Sometimes, like I've said before, we try to do them, record while we're smoking, but it's been an issue, but we'll figure it out. We'll get there. But yeah, after a long week, and I like it like over the weekend, I enjoy it. Anyway, number 2 is celebrating milestones, graduations, weddings, new babies. Cigars are the unofficial trophy of life's biggest wins. Some people celebrate with champagne. We celebrate with a smoke. Number 3, bonding with friends. Nothing brings men together like a good smoke. Sitting in a lounge, puffing away, and solving the world's problems one draw at a time. Number 4, it's a ritual. The entire process from cutting the cap to lighting the cigar is like a sacred ceremony. It's a man's way of saying, I'm about to enjoy myself. Leave me alone. That is true. I like the whole ritual of it, which is why I say it's important for you. If you are a smoker, carry your tools, have your stuff, right? Nice and ready so you can enjoy things the way you want to enjoy them at peace without anyone bothering you or you bothering anyone. Just you go into your own world if you're doing it alone. Number 5 is the taste. Good cigars are like fine whiskey, complex, nuanced, and oh so satisfying. Whether it's earthy, spicy, or sweet, a good cigar is a flavor adventure. Number 6, which is, I think, should be number 1, stress relief. Blowing smoke rings isn't just fun, it's therapy. People have therapists, cigar smokers have their favorite 6. Number 7, nostalgia. For many, smoking a cigar brings back memories. Maybe it's the smell of your grandfather's den, or that time you scored your first promotion and lit up with your buddies. Number 8, prestige. Let's be honest, there's something undeniable classy. It's undeniably classy about smoking a cigar. I agree with that. Whether you're in the tux or shorts, you just look like you know what you're doing. I've always said smoking cigars, it's like a status thing to it because usually you're surrounded by people, high achievers, doers, big thinkers. And again, so when I say the whole culture of it, that's part of what I love. Just sitting around people, men and women, and just having these conversations. I love asking questions and just learning new things or, getting guidance on something you might want to do. I think a cigar is something that unifies all these different types of people from different backgrounds and different goals. And it just puts them in one place where you can all share and learn from each other. So number 9 is marking personal time. Smoking a cigar, it's me time. It's a moment for reflection, planning, or just staring off into space, pretending you're figuring out the meaning of life. For me, sometimes when I enjoy by myself, it's a good time to read and just learn new things or think of ideas for the podcast or think of ideas, for projects and creative projects. And number 10 is because it's fun. At the end of the day, smoking a cigar is just plain enjoyable. It's about the experience, the flavors, and the time spent. Whether you're celebrating or just relaxing, it's a good time rolled up in tobacco. So this brings this episode to an end. Remember to subscribe and share to gritontheRocks.com. Send us your messages, send us your stories, participate in the segments. If you are interested in becoming a show sponsor, a segment sponsor, or the website sponsor where we place your company or business logo, and it includes obviously a link to your website or your social media, whichever one you prefer, go to gritontheRocks.com and send us a message through the Contact Us section. So gentlemen and ladies who listen, Thank you so much for being here with me. I guess we'll see you in the next episode of Grit on the Rocks podcast. Remember to stay classy, stay gentlemanly. See you on the next episode.